Hello, hello. How are we doing tonight, guys? It's been a weird one today. Definitely. Today, I should say. Hopefully you all performed well. I know for myself, I took an early trade, so I managed to stay on track for the whole day. But I mean, I was just looking at the price action and thanking I was super happy that I was in a trade early. If not, it would have been a little bit of a tough one. Can I get a quick confirmation you guys can hear me all right? You guys can see my screen and we'll get right into it.
Hello.
Awesome. All right. Well, as we can see from the daily chart, of course, now we see Tuesday's price action. Let's remove that for a second. And we can see right here on Monday, I had a little bit of a retracement candle. So that's definitely not just not a complicated scenario is the best way I can put it. And of course, now seeing this, our frameworks that we were discussing in the weekly outlook, I would now be looking for more bullish price action. Right, pretty straightforward. As we discussed, Monday's range established lower. Not gonna lie though, I was looking for longs today, and I'll show you guys why here on a 15-minute chart. Let's actually go back in replay mode at this point. We can see a bunch of different things. Of course, the first thing that pops to mind is the London framework. That is really all that I needed to see for today. I'm not gonna
Hello.
lie. After seeing the London framework confirmed by the daily structure, it was quite easy for me to look at a long. But as you can see, we retraced very far lower. And on ES, we actually never returned to the daily open, current high of day if you prefer. And we just expanded very much lower. So you also had some opportunities to short, which we'll look into going into lunch. But overall, it was a pretty bullish New York session, at least on NASDAQ. What I am referring to as the daily structure is, as you can see, there's nothing here that tells me that we have the potential of forming a high, right? And we can throw it out here as accumulation, right? Nothing here tells me there's a high probability of forming a high, even when comparing with the S, looking for example for potential SMT, like we had at the high of day, right? Why is this high of day, and why is it that at this very specific moment I can trust it? Well, because we had a big move higher confirmed through SMT, right? Manipulation confirmed through SMT. So that's why you could then look for shorts. But up until that point, you had a London framework telling you can go long, and then you could hold on all the way to current high of day, Asia high, in the daily opening price, because you could just continue on that trend, right? Confirming with the daily structure that tells you we had accumulation. Once again, no precision in manipulation. What's important within these two aspects of AMD, right? Power of three, however you want to call it, to be honest, is when does the manipulation end? In this case, it was session open. There are two possibilities, right? Session open or news events. In this case, we did not have to wait for the 10 a.m. news, since right at the session open, we had a Judah swing confirmed with SMT that we can even see now on our 15-minute chart. If you can see here, the low was formed at 9:30 on NASDAQ. But if we look at the previous swing, right, just to keep things easy, 9:30 compared to the previous swing at 8:30, we had very clear SMT here. So Judah swing with SMT at session open tells us that we can look to trade before news. Now, as I said in chat this morning, there were a lot of questions in relation to that. I personally did not trade right after 9:30. So if we look right here and we use ES as well to help us frame entries, of course we're bullish. So let me just remove the bearish breakers so we can have a cleaner chart here because of what we explained on the higher time frame charts, right? So for now, we are bullish up until current day's high has been reached. But as you can see, you had an entry right here at 940 on ES. So you can use that entry and enter on NASDAQ, right? So 940 right here. So we'll look about halfway through the candle, but we'll just use the opening price to be pessimistic, right? Always makes things easier. But my target was London high. So first of all, I needed to wait for a better risk to reward, which came, right? 1.7 R minimum here. Let's just do 1.71 because we can't be precise to the tick in this case. And it did offer enough risk to reward. But whenever I'm taking a trade before news, I need to understand that it is lower probability. I will not adjust risk in any way, shape, or form. But I've already said this before. I take A plus and A setup. What does this mean? I take perfect setups, But I also don't mind taking a setup where there's one thing missing. For example, sometimes the target just isn't clear, but I see a beautiful setup forming. I'm still going to take it, but I understand it is not a perfect setup. But what if there's two things missing? Like, for example, I'm trading before news, which makes this setup slightly worse. I have a very large stop, which makes this setup slightly worse. Now, all of a sudden, I have multiple reasons why I don't want to be taking this trade. We've already run quite aggressively. A third reason, this to me was not a good enough trade. So what did I wait for? Well, I waited for one thing to now not be true. So I waited for news. Now this is a question of trade management. If you took the setup right here, let's look. Where would the 3PD array stop loss be? So you have your, well, this is a later fair value gap. So your entry would actually be on here. But if you're taking the setup based on ES, right, you're entering on this candle, you have fair value gap, inversion fair value gap, and fair value gap here. So your stop would be at this level. And if you entered later on the candle after it closed, well, all of a sudden now your stop becomes here, and that's a win. There's a lot of variance here. Are you taking this because of the ES breaker? Yes. That's what I am explaining right now, right? So taking this because of the ES breaker is another thing that makes this setup worse. Why? Because there's no breaker that formed on NASDAQ. It doesn't mean it isn't a good setup, but it means there's one thing missing. Then it's also before news. As I said again, there's a large stop. Now, all of these reasons make it so this is not a valid setup in my book. And that is why I personally did not trade that. And now, what I'm referring to next is going to be this trade off of this inversion fair value gap. Right? If you're entering here, you have inversion fair value gap, you have the order block and the other order block. So now all of a sudden, oh, that's not what I meant to do. You have a stop here. So now you have an okay size stop. You have 2.3 R to your objective of London high. Now this is a great setup, right? Yes. I personally didn't like to take that trade. Why? Because it's 3 minutes before news. So I might as well just wait for news to give me a confirmation. And what did the news do? Well, we first ran a little bit higher, and then we ran back lower to close. And then this candle right here opened into a low, and I just entered here. So let me just showcase it. On MNQ as well, there was some pretty nice volume imbalance here that made this fair value gap a lot bigger, but more precise on NASDAQ in this case. So instead of entering on this entry right here, since it was 3 minutes before the news, I decided to just wait an additional 3 minutes, and then the minute after the news, I was in that trade. I did not actually wait for it to retrace into this fair value gap. I just entered on this candle. Because this candle confirms my idea we want to go higher. Now we went lower. When this candle flips back the opening price, I'm in this candle. So when this candle returns bullish. So I am trading this move, but deciding to wait for a more confirmed entry. Does that mean I sometimes miss those trades? Yes, but I don't mind because it wasn't good enough, right? It was consolidation between NASDAQ and ES. There was a lot of SMT on the highs, as we can just see here, right? With price going higher here while price was going lower on NASDAQ. This tells me that price is now consolidating, right? The price action tells me we are consolidating. We are also induced these lows. So now, even though I have an entry, it's not a good enough entry. But if I wait after the news, now the only thing that's wrong with that, well, after we basically remove all the SMT, so we remove all the SMT and we traded above and the news confirmed my direction. Now, all of a sudden, this is a great trade. Right, so just me explaining my thought process into what I said this morning in the chat, because a lot of people didn't understand why. And yes, if I am entering here, I'm using a 3PD array stop loss from here. So fair value gap, order block. I had my stop down here. And if you look at the risk to reward, well, actually mine offered 1.9 something. So I was somewhere in here, actually. Had a little bit of a better entry.
Hello.
Yeah, awesome, Magic. I'm glad to hear it. And see, that's not something that's something very specific, right? And that's the kind of stuff that people call you out about. And they tell you, oh, well, you have a model, but you trade it differently. Well, no, I have a model with a specific set of rules. And now think of it like a flow chart, right? Think of it like a flow chart. Step one is establish an entry, right? Well, not step one of finding a trade, but let's just imagine we're now at finding an entry. Okay, but if that entry is before news, I need to double check more things. If that entry is not before news, I need to double check some things, like, is there SMT? No. This setup is slightly worse. Is my target clear? Yes. Is my stop loss a normal size? Yes. Then I can take that trade. If there was SMT with the news candle, would that change anything for you? Do you mean SMT on the high? Like, for example, we were still like lower, right? We were still lower right here while ES was trading higher. Is that what you mean, Magic? Just so I can, yeah? Okay. So yes. Yes. Being SMT at the time of the news, I would not have taken this trade. I would have waited for more. And to be honest, if there was SMT at the news with the current daily structure, I am very confident that we would just went for those lows and then formed a setup to go long. So I would have still had opportunity, right? It's all about timing in here. And if my charts are telling me it's not the right time because we are consolidating, showing me counter trend SMT, counter to my trade, then I'm not going to take that trade. I much rather just not have a trade today and miss a setup, worst case scenario, than taking 3 losses on a bad trade, right? Trying to trade a move that just doesn't happen.
I don't know.
So I was in this one. And I took a partial at London High. It was a small partial for me because lower risk to reward, right? So instead of taking like a 70% or even a 50% partial, I took 40. So I had 5 contracts. This has been my 5 micros, by the way. So just past the funded account. So running 3 to 5 micros on that is super comfortable. I don't have to rush. I can just take a lot of trades and not be scared of hitting my drawdown, right? So I had 5 contracts. I took out 2 at this level. And then Asia High being right next to it, I took out an additional 2 and only had 1 contract that got stopped in profit at this low. I think I've explained before what my trailing stop logic is, but it's very simple. We broke above this high, so now my trailing stop is going to be at the low of this range, and that's what I always do. So for example, here we close above this high, so now my trailing stop would be here. We closed above this high, my trailing stop would be here, but I didn't start trailing until Asia High, right? So that's why I didn't get stopped out here. So Asia High gets hit, I'm looking to trail. We form a range, we break the high of this range, right? Let's do green so it's a little easier. We broke the high of this range, now I can trail to the low of this initial range. This doesn't have a name for it. I am never going to name it. Maybe someone has previously spoke about it, but this is something I've just found through backtesting, and it has always been consistent for me. This is actually the logic that I have coded in multiple of my trading algorithms just because it has been so consistent for me in intraday trading, right? Just using ranges to define where I'm going to trail and, more importantly, where I'm wrong, right? Because that's the important part. Like, if you trail too aggressively, you could still be right and price could run a lot more, but then you got stopped out. But if you trail too slowly, then you're giving back way too much money. So this has always been the perfect middle for me. And as you can see, I had 3R almost at Asian High. And then I got stopped out a little, like 2.5R, I believe it was. Oh, 2.3, a little lower actually, on my last contract. So still a very successful trade in my book, and definitely the trade I would consider for anyone. But if you would have entered earlier, then you would have made more. But here's the thing with me. I'm not taking this trade, and I'm happy I did not, because my expected value, what is that? That means that every time I click a button, it is the expected money I'm supposed to be making, right? And yes, of course, you lose trades, but if your winners are bigger than your losers, that average money you're making per times you click the button is positive, right? So that's expected value. It's a term they use a lot of poker that I really do love. But my expected value on this trade compared to this trade is way different. So even if this one today would have made me more money, it is more profitable for me to take these trades long term. So just in case you guys wanted an explanation, I know it was pretty confusing for some this morning when I talked about it in the futures chat. So I did want to explain why I did not take this 957 entry and rather waited for 1001 in this specific case, right? For news to give me a confirmation. And that's it for the longs. I will not consider any other longs. Why? Because here you're consolidating and you're way too close to your target to offer any potential positive risk to reward, right? So really, the only other opportunities would have been after we take out Asia High and the current high of day here. Let me actually just bring it out so we can see it. And you have all that SMT after that. Sorry, I got to zoom in to pinpoint to it.
Hello.
But right here, we had current high of day. Let's do this. After you take out current high of day, and once again, just looking at ES here, you can notice the SMT. I mean, I don't need to pinpoint it for you. There is a lot of SMT. But after that happens, then all of a sudden, your idea for long is no longer valid, right? You took out a key level, took out a key point in daily structure, and you formed SMT. But at that point in time, can I start looking for shorts in the PM session? Definitely. You guys know though, I'm always talking about it. For me, the PM session is all about the lunch trades, or I'll use 2 PM power of 3 for potential continuation opportunity and such, right? Is there a continuation opportunity today? No. We already went long. We already took out our main objective. So I'm not going to take a long in the PM session unless I have a lunch trade to confirm it. So there was potential for some losses here, but we did not complete a full retracement. And due to the fact that our target was already met, to me, longs are invalidated. So I would be looking for shorts. Now, can I look for a short in this market? Yeah, you can frame some retracements, right? We all know what is going to be my retracement objective. I'm going to look at the most recent 15-minute range. I'm going to look to target the first discount in efficiency, which in this case is the order block formed at 9:30. So in this case, it's actually precisely the 9:30 open. And as you can see, we reached it just before the close today. Very, very precise work in this case. Now, you'll see only bearish breakers appearing here. Why? Because I don't trade during lunch. So at 1:30, if I'm looking to short here, what am I looking for at 1:30? I'm looking for a Judah swing higher to give me an opportunity to short. As you can see here, did not happen. Oh, we have a move higher. Do we have any sort of SMT to confirm it? Yes, right here. SMT at top. Sorry, I'm messing around with my things, with my templates. And right here, SMT top. By the way, if you guys are wondering, SMT top just means the text is on top, because I was tired of always messing around with it manually. So right here, you have your fake move higher. You have SMT confirming that setup. Now, you're trading deep into the range, right? You're already past the first quarter of premium of this range, which means what? Your highest probability opportunities will be between this first quarter. And actually, I just noticed that the entry, we just flipped the first quarter and then retraced into it for the perfect entry, which is just fucking amazing, if I'm being honest. And then you can look to target a discount. But as we said, we're looking for the first discount in efficiency. And in this case, it's actually the 9:30 opening price. So very clear short here. And once again, whenever the morning's just higher resistance, a PM session just gives you crazy ass trades. I mean, we've been seeing it all of August, right? Especially in lower volume conditions, like tougher morning, and then all of a sudden you get a huge risk to reward on a PM trade. Definitely has changed my perspective of it, but I did talk about it at the beginning of the summer that lunch frameworks are higher probability in these months. And I mean, if you want to look at it, just go and write statistics, filter based on the months during the summer, right? June, July, August, and you'll notice that the percentage are quite drastic in regards to the range of the lunch session and to the success of these frameworks. Got that direction wrong in the PM session. I kept looking for long still. For me, as I said, it's really about the fact we took out current daily high with that much SMT. Like, I don't want to be in this trade anymore. The important part was London high for me. And as soon as ES took it out, you can notice we instantly started going down. That's just a clear-cut sign that, hey, we're at least going to be doing a retracement. And our retracement objective is 9:30, which means I'm going to be bearish until we reach for that 9:30 opening price. And once again, it's not because it is the 9:30 opening price. It's just our first discount in efficiency in a 15-minute chart lines up with it. Now, of course, once again, am I going to be holding that trade for 10.4 R without taking partials? No. First partial would be right here. The low of that range, right, which is the current low of the PM session, and you have 2.78 R. And then all you're doing is taking partials at key levels. What are key levels? Well, I look for equal highs and lows. So in this case, key level. Important opening prices, key level. And then what else? Well, my first discount and premium inefficiency on a bit of a higher time frame, right? Which is my 15-minute chart. So in this case, I would have had one partial at midnight opening price as well, because I see rejection at this level a lot of times. And see here, you had all of this consolidation. If you did not take profit at this level, you would have been scared. Why? Because you would have had to wait another 25 minutes to see price go down. That's why for me, it's just easier. See, same thing happened here. What if you didn't take your partial here? You would have returned to like being up 0.5 R on your trade, or maybe this looks a little more like 1 R, and then have to live through this consolidation. But look at how price interacts with these key levels, and they're nothing complicated. There's no secret here. Right? Why is this one important? Well, it's the low of the range from my entry, from the manipulation I'm framing. Cool. There you go, partial. Midnight opening price. It is an important opening level. People use it for support and resistance constantly. This is an important level. Equal lows. Price tells you this is an important level by constantly inducing said level. And as you can see in this case, we actually ran right through it. But all of these two other levels, if you did not take profit there, you would have been scared for a little bit. That's not what you want as a trader. You want to leave emotion out of it. But as you're learning, it's very hard not to be emotional trading. So what can you do? Have rules in place that don't allow you to be emotional. Just take profit there and there. You won't have any issues. Oh, I only have one contract. Trade micros. Oh, I can only have one contract with micros. Trade more money. What the fuck are you doing trading one micro? I don't believe that anyone should be wasting their time trading one micro. You want to learn? Demo trade. And don't start trading until you have more money than that. I mean, I had a $10,000 account and I was trading more than one micro, right? $20 risk is not enough in my book.
Hello.
Hopefully I did not break any bubbles here. And once again, right, final objective being your retracement to 9:30 opening price. And anyways, this came just before 4 p.m. And as you guys know, the opening price of the 4 p.m. candle is when 4 p.m. happens, and I close all my positions at 4 p.m. anytime I am intraday trade. Going full port tomorrow. Damn, that's not what I'm saying. Oh, I hate you, Magic, right now. But fair enough. I mean, yeah, I take my word, and that's pretty much what I said. But no, have consistent risk management. Be careful with your risk, but don't be trading one micro. That is a waste of your time. It is disrespectful to yourself and to your abilities. If you are unable to trade fake money. Teach yourself, practice, and only come back to the charts when you're capable of trading at least 2 micros, okay? 2 micros is all I ask. Please just don't do under 2 micros. But yes, just to recap the day, of course, difficult long in the morning, that would have led to small reward, and super easy short in the PM, that would have led to huge reward. And you may ask, hey, Ollie, what trade did you take? Well, I took the hard and not very profitable one, and I did not take the PM trade. So that's fucking awesome. You might have seen in the futures chat, I was like, how long is it going to take? Is it going to take NQ to get to lunch highs? I wanted to know what people thought. And some people said the entire PM session, and other people, those were the two options, by the way, said a year from now. And a year from now won. So a lot more people were bearish. I did want to see how many people trusted lunch trade. In this case, for me, I definitely expected price to go higher until you spot this, right? This is really the one and only reason why I invalidate frameworks, right? I don't have any more objective to go higher. What kind of R is a bot putting out this month on this model? 7. So pretty shit this month. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I mean, profitable is profitable, and I'm happy whatever month it is making money. But my own personal performance has heavily beat the bot this month by a lot. There's still a lot of work to do. It is far from perfect. It is going to take me probably another year to make it to a point where I'm actually proud of it. But, you know, that's what it's all about. See, I have not had a regular job in years. I mean, I've been working I did the last 5 weeks. I'm done now helping out my parents, you know, doing some physical labor, construction work to help out with their business. But I mean, dude, I've had so much time on my hands, right? Because I don't trade so much. I don't look at my chart the whole day. So what do I do in the meantime? Well, I had to figure out things to fill my days. So I started coding that, coding bots, coding indicators. You guys know all of it by now. Very
Hello.
fair. Yeah. Once it's good enough, I want to do signals for the community. That's one thing for sure. But it's not there yet. And you guys know, if I am very proud, and if I'm gonna put my name and say, hey, I built this, I need it to be in a shape that I am proud of it, I guess is it's the best way I can put it. No, I use that word a lot there, but it's really that. I need it to be not perfect, but in condition to be able to share to anyone. And it's not there yet. It's good enough to make me money, but it is not to a point where I am ready to share it. Soon enough. And I can tell you guys, when it's going to be willing to share it, it's probably going to be a part of Rise Statistics. But that's going to be a question for another day. Right now, do we have any final questions before we call it a night? We're going to
Hello.
be seeing a lot of each other today. This week, I mean, we're going to be seeing each other tomorrow and Thursday and possibly Friday. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is going to depend on what I do on Friday. I'm not seeing any questions, so we're going to call it a night here. I am very glad to have you guys with me, and I hope you found this PA review valuable. You guys have a great night. Good luck training tomorrow, and as I said, we'll see each other tomorrow night for another price action review. Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Hello.